What is going on, everyone? This is Sunrise Sports and MMA here. I got a new video for you guys. On today's video, I want to talk about UFC fighter pay, right? I want to look at, similar to my last video where we talked about the different broadcast deals over the past 20 years leading to what is now Paramount Plus UFC partnership. So let's talk about fighter pay. And one thing we know over the years is that fighters have been very quiet about their payments. What do they get paid? We know the top echelon guys, more or less what they get paid, right? We've only heard the stories of a few fighters. We've heard some from DC, Daniel Cormier and Michael Bisping. You know, how Dana has been the type of guy that takes care of them. This is obviously pre-TKO acquisition merger, where, you know, the guys would walk in, Hunter or Dana, after a fight and say, hey, we're going to wire $1 million to you. You did an outstanding job. And again, this was exclusive of the pay-per-view points that they could have generated. And Michael Bisping also talked about it on the BYM podcast. Similar story to DC, as well as, you know, those pay-per-view points. He said he made, you know, the most money he ever made against George St. Pierre. And he talked about the sliding scale, right, where after a certain number of buys, every 200K or so would go up. So we know that some of these fighters are very gracious, and it seems very appreciative, for what Dana and the UFC and co have done for them. You know, but there is a lot of controversy. We know the Ariel Helwanis of the world and others, even fighters that have advocated and most recently sued and won against the UFC for fighters that were underpaid. So there's no doubt that there is something underlying there that is happening. And it's a shame that the biggest MMA promotion is under that scrutiny, but it doesn't seem to be missing a beat when it comes to what it means, its market cap, what it represents today for combat and for any sport in that regard in its similar field, right? So fighter pay back in 2005, we don't really have a lot of information. The assumption is that it was a lot less than it is today. I mean, just to give you guys a comparison, the UFC's revenue back in 2004 was $14.3 million. So, I mean, we have fighters in the last 5 to 10 year range that have actually made that either in a single fight or in a calendar year. So there's no doubt that the fighter pay has increased. What that looks like in terms of percentage and split, it does vary. And we know, unlike organized sport and, again, non-organized combat sport like your NBAs, NFLs, and HLs, we know that there is no collective bargaining agreement in combat sports, and specifically in the UFC. So right now, one fighter that I did see most recently online, and again, this is all speculative. I don't think Max himself has come out and said this, but Max Holloway apparently has a yearly compensation package that hovers around $9 million. So if that is the case, and we know Max hasn't been a champion for a while, and I don't think the BMF title counted towards pay-per-view points. If I'm wrong on that, please let me know. But we do know what someone like Max Holloway brings to the table. He's going to get viewers. It's going to be a great fight for the most part. We've known all of his fights to be bangers. So that's, you know, talking about Max Holloway, you're talking about box office, right? And maybe that's what the UFC is starting to do or move towards, where you have a lot of these fighters that are not necessarily champions but are exciting fighters, right? Your Justin Gaethje, your Dustin Poiriers, your Max Holloways, your Derek Lewis's, right? You have a couple of these fighters, more than a couple, that can command salaries in the, you know, high seven figures, if not 8 figures, right? We saw most recently John Jones being offered $30 million to fight Aspinall. The question I have is, was that contingent on the fact that they were about to sign that Paramount deal? So now, yeah, 30 million when you're bringing in 1.1 billion just on your broadcast rights alone. Sure, you're Dana White, you make that investment, you get the eyeballs, you get the subscribers to CBS, right? Because I think that's what's going to happen now. This is all based off of how many subscribers you can bring. We saw what happened with ESPN shortly after the last broadcast. The subscriber numbers dropped by 200,000. I'm not a financial advisor, but I probably would buy some Paramount, Viacom stock, CBS if you can, especially leading into the first 324 numbered event, non-pay-per-view. So that's where fighter pay is now, right? We wonder what's going to happen with the stars now that there's no more pay-per-view. My thought process is that you're going to have contracts similar to those that we see in WWE, where it's not contingent upon pay-per-view sales, it's not contingent upon gate sales, it's going to be contingent upon subscriber numbers at the top of the organization. And what you'll probably see is, 6-digit, 7-digit contracts in place for a lot of the big fighters. You'll have incentive bonuses in there, right? Like if you're someone like Alex Pereira, you'll probably be asked to fight a minimum of 2 times per year. And if you can get a third fight in the year, we'll give you XYZ percentage above that in the agreement. You'll probably also have KO bonuses built into the contracts or finishes, outside of just the fight of the night bonuses. So that's my suspicion is what the UFC is going to do. It's going to be more of a compensation approach based off of production, similar to a salaried worker, right? But we all know that they're independent contractors. So that's my take on that. And yeah, tell me what you think. I want to break down a little bit more, doing some comparisons in my next video, how fighter pay in the UFC is compared to boxing and what the similarities are or what they aren't. So stick with me next time. This is Sunrise Sports and MMA out.